everybody, this is Dr. Joe Borio with this week's Health Kick. And what did I want to talk about? I want to talk about this book that I've read. I've read it many times. I've just read it again. I want to share something else with you about reading books. If you really read a book, try not to enter the approach of reading a book by getting to the end. Try to read a book by being changed. Books are the thoughts of other people, and they can change you. And why I read books over and over, books that of meaning. I don't mean a book for entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But what I mean by when I say that is when you read a book that has meaning, significance, talks about your life, changing your life, doing different aspects of your life, that they change you. And when you go back and revisit a book, an author, the thoughts of another man or woman, and you read it again and again, each time you read it, you're probably a different person. So you pick up a little different thought, a little different advice, a little different level of inspiration. And one of the books I'm referring to, there's many books, but one of the books I'm referring to is As a Man Thinketh. It's actually free on ebook, so it's probably one of the best books I've read. I've read a lot of different books. It's not a long book. It's been around for a long time, and but basically it goes into what I've talked to you guys about before, and that is it's you manifest what your thoughts are. You bring into your life, you create what your thoughts are. And I don't mean that in a mystical way, though that might very well be a possibility, but I'm not saying that, I'm going to, here, let me think about something, and over a period of time I'm going to manifest, this chair. Poof, here comes a chair in my hand. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if you think about something all the time, or certainly you focus on certain things, you tend to bring them into your life. And those might be negative things or positive things. You create that. And if that's true, then why not focus on positive things? Now, the problem you have with that whole thought process is people talk about positive thinking. That itself says, well, think positive, think positive. That's good, but it almost doesn't give you enough of the nuts and bolts on how to do it. So let me try to help you out with it a little bit, and I think it'll help you bring some better things in your life. And when we talk about a health kick, better things in your health, what I mean by that is some advice on nuts and bolts is take a few things, take a few minutes and write down a few things that are important to you. And why you want to do that is you want to try to get a little bit at your purpose, or what you really, I shouldn't say a little bit, you want to really nail your purpose, but sometimes you need to kind of nip away at it because some of us don't know what our purpose is. Some of us don't have a purpose. So, and that's okay. You need to find one, I think, if you want to enrich your life and make things a little easier. So, what is your purpose? And now when you get into your purpose, there's a great scene in City Slickers, and it's with Billy Crystal and Jack Palance, and they're riding on a horse, and they went away on a dude ranch, and Jack Palance said, all you guys come out here in your 40s, your middle-age crisis, and you're looking for the answer to life. He said, what the answer to life is? Is one thing. And Billy Crystal says sarcastically, your finger? And he says, no, one thing. He says, well, what's the one thing? And he says, that's what you need to figure out for yourself. And once you figure all that out, everything else doesn't mean anything. That's not the word to use. We may have children watching this, so, okay. So, nothing else matters once you know the one thing. And certainly it matters to a certain degree, but it doesn't matter as much. It becomes insignificant debris, insignificant details. If you are, let me use an extreme example. If I'm running for my child who is crossing the street, okay, and I'm a woman, and I have a beautiful skirt on and beautiful new shoes, heels, and a beautiful outfit, and my hair is done in a certain way and so forth, and I've really spent a lot of time and effort. That's not my purpose. My purpose in life as a mother is the health and well-being of my child. Now, if my child runs across the street, you are going to run without any forethought of your own health or safety in front of another vehicle. You're not going to care about ripping your skirt or your heel or your hair or anything, because that's your purpose. So certainly those other things may have some meaning in your life, but but it pales in comparison. It becomes insignificant debris to that of the health and well-being of your child. And that's an extreme example to make an example. So what is your purpose? Is it your family? Is it your significant other? Is it your job, or career? Is it a feeling? Is it a process that you're going through? What is your purpose? And I think when you find your purpose, it's easier to direct your thoughts. So today's health kick is really about the art of controlling your thought. And a couple other things I want to lead into that was one great man. His name's Dr. John DeMartini, and what he said was when the inner voice. I'm sorry. Let me step back a minute. He said that when you know you have mastered your life. When you know you've mastered your life, you know that the inner voice is stronger and louder than the outside voices and the detractors to your purpose. And that's good advice, because when you look at the greatest leaders and significant people in our world, in our history, you'll realize that their actions, their existence was stated upon a purpose. And for that, everything else became insignificant debris. They didn't care about their clothes, or if people liked them, or what they had to say, or people in the community cared about them, or whatever, because everything became about their purpose. And I know of people in my profession that started our profession, the chiropractic profession, when you talk about guys like D.D. Palmer, David Daniel Palmer, or B.J. Palmer. When you read about these men, and his wife Mabel Palmer, a wonderful, intelligent woman, you read about these people, realize they had a purpose and they had a way to help people that no one else offered. And as a result, no matter what other people said, no matter what the detractors said, it didn't affect their life. And as a result, they had a life. You can't have a life until you start really taking care of yourself and making one. And one of the great ways to do that is a purpose. Now, what the heck does that all have to do with your health? Because I can tell you that As a Man Thinketh, going back to my original thought here, As a Man Thinketh is a book that talks about controlling the inner voice, your thoughts, the lady or man, the voice in your head that's constantly talking to you. And that person is saying things to you, which is you, if you will. It's your consciousness. It's a culmination of your values and beliefs. It's that filter in your head. And if you can control that and master that voice, then what happens is you can start to direct your thoughts. And by directing your thoughts in a much more positive way and not being detracted, what I call dream poppers. You know those people, you got a great dream, you're all excited, and then, oh, that's not going to work, pop, 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 pop. If you can basically ignore that, not that person, but those thoughts that they have, they're really telling you that they themselves can't do it, so how the heck can you do it? That's what a dream popper is, really. So you're capable, within reason, of doing just about anything. So if you can control those thoughts in your head, you'll have a much better life. One of the ways of controlling that is to have a purpose. It was once said, stand for something or fall for anything. Stand for something or fall for anything. And choose wisely on what you stand for, certainly, because that's not a light question. But if not, it's easy to fall prey to other things. If you're not standing on principle and character and integrity and honesty, then you tend to fall for other things. And that makes you weaker inside, and it makes your life weaker, and it makes it a life less fulfilled, less enjoyable, certainly. So going to the health part of this talk, remember that stress and a culmination of your thoughts has been shown now scientifically, without any question, to affect your state, your level of stress internally. In other words, are you in a fight or flight response? Is your body always in a state of stress, releasing adrenaline? Or are you in a state of calmness? We also know that if you're in a state of stress and you have negative thoughts, it affects your DNA. It affects you physically, and it affects your DNA, which means it damages your DNA. So when you age faster, you develop more disease. You're more likely to express some of those genetics that make you more prone to different diseases. Let's say, for example, you carry the gene for diabetes or heart disease or breast cancer or uterine cancer or colon cancer, whatever. Just like positive thoughts can suppress and prevent that gene from ever being expressed, negative thoughts, you saying negative things to yourself all the time, can what? Cause those genes to be expressed as well, and therefore making you more prone to disease. It's pretty amazing how that works. So my advice is to get As a Man Thinketh. I think it's a great book. I'd read it many times. Number one. Two, try to realize that you're talking to yourself on a regular basis. Try to control that voice so that you can get a better control of your life, if you will. Find a purpose. Write down some things that really have meaning to you, that if you were to strip away all the money and everything else in your life, what would you decide not to go without? If you say my Starbucks coffee in the morning, I'm not saying that's not a purpose, but I'm not thinking that's the best purpose to have. It's not an empowering purpose. But if it's your children or your wife or your husband or your job or your mine is certainly my children, and with that my passion for helping other people and serving everyone that I come in contact with not only what knowledge I have, but the experience I have and making them healthier, because most people don't really understand what health is. So with these little health kicks, I hope that as you watch them, you learn a little bit more of how the body works and what health is and how the mind, body are so intricately connected that you can't separate them. The body directly affects the mind, and the mind directly affects the body. So, and I don't mean the brain, I mean the mind, the consciousness created from the mind. So, and then the spirit, the spirit, the eternal part of what you're made of, whatever that may be. There's something inside you that's eternal as well. So if I take the spirit and the mind and the body, and if you read a lot of the Eastern culture, if you can master that wheel, you're a much healthier life. You have a much healthier existence. You're happier and more fulfilled in all aspects of your life. Don't you see some people like they're phenomenal in business, but their personal life sucks? Or their personal life is phenomenal, but their business is awful, right? Or they have no spiritual foundation or whatever. So you need to kind of work in all those circles in order to really create a less stress, more happiness in your life. So not that I got it all figured out. I certainly don't mean to say that I do, but these are some great thoughts and I think great ideas that I've learned from people that do have it figured out. So I thought I'd share that with you, because I'm trying to master it just like the rest of you guys. But these are good thoughts, and this is what goes through my head, and I want to share those with you today. I had a couple of really neat experiences this week that kind of inspired me to share that with you. So we didn't get into the real specifics. Guys, getting into the end of this, wrapping this up. Remember, we've got a great Lose to Live, Dr. Joe's Lose to Live, coming up with Tom Thompson. It's going to be awesome. I'll definitely give you a heads up when that's coming out, but keep an eye out for that. It's life-changing with nutrition and diet and chiropractic, real good stuff. And remember, guys, you, your mother, your father, your grandfather, your uncle, everybody else out there needs to be under chiropractic. You got to exercise. You got to eat good. You got to drink water. You got to think positive mental thoughts. That's what we were talking today, right? Get some good nutrition in you. And remember, everyone you know, everyone you see needs a good brain nerve supply to the body, and the body needs to give a good information back to the brain. The only way you can ensure that's going to work is if you're getting good, regular chiropractic care to make sure your spine is straight is healthy, crooked is sick and diseased. My people, my members of my practice, you can bet I do everything I can to get them straight and healthy. Guys, have a wonderful week. Remember, As a Man Thinketh, have a good week. I'll talk to you next week.